Hello students, today we will be studying communication. Communication is the last element of directing. Why I am saying last element? Because the other three elements of directing we have already studied. First was supervision, second was motivation, third was leadership, and finally we will be studying communication today. Communication is a word which is not unfamiliar to all of you. All of you are aware about this word. But literally, what does the word communication mean? The word communication is derived from the Latin word. Now keep this in mind. Latin word communis, which means common. Communis means common, and which consequently implies common understanding. That means there should be common understanding between the sender and the receiver. In communication, there is sharing of ideas, information, but that ideas, once it is shared, it should also be understood by the receiver or to whom it is shared. Then only this common understanding can be established and communication is complete. So we can define communication as communication is a process of exchange of ideas, views, facts, feelings, etc. between or among people to create common understanding. So information, ideas, suggestions, facts, feelings, it can be shared between two or more than two persons with common understanding. That is what is communication. Elements or process of communication. We have understood the meaning or the definition of communication. Let us see the elements or process. That means steps in the process of communication. There are always series of steps which is involved to make communication process complete, and that is why these steps have to be followed in sequence. Communication starts from the origin of the ideas, and that idea originates in the mind of the sender. So sender is someone who sends the information or conveys the information. What does the sender do? The sender conveys message. So what is message? Message is the content or the subject matter, which may be in the form of ideas or suggestions or orders, which is sent by the sender. That message is the third element is encoding. Encoded means that message is converted into communication symbols, and those symbols, communication symbols, may be in the form of words or maybe in the form of pictures or in the form of diagrams. So symbols may be anything. And always after encoding, the fourth element is media. There is always the path or the way or the channel through which the message or the information is shared, and that channel or path or way can be face-to-face communication, or it may be, media means path or channel, and that may be through phone, there can be communication, or there can be mail through which the communication may take place. After media, the fifth point is decoding. Decoding means converting the symbols to message. Whatever symbols is there, that has to be converted into plain message. Then comes receiver. Receiver is the person who receives the message. Then the seventh is feedback. After the receiver receives the information, feedback means the actions of the receiver. How does he react to the information which he or she receives? That is the action, and that is called the feedback. And finally is the noise. The eighth element is the noise. Noise means the obstruction or the hindrance to communication. There may be different causes of obstruction to communication. Some may be due to poor telephonic connection sometimes. Sometimes it may be due to faulty encoding, sometimes due to faulty decoding, sometimes there can be technical faults. So these are some of the causes associated with noise or obstruction to communication. Sometimes question may be asked related with what is noise in communication. Give some examples. These questions may be put on 1 or 3 marks question, so you have to be prepared. Now we have understood that communication is something which is very, very important in the organization. Why? Because unless and until a manager is an effective communicator, he won't be able to communicate his ideas or share information or give instructions to the subordinates who are working under him. And unless and until that ideas, instruction or information is shared with the subordinates properly, the work will not be done in the organization and the goal will not be achieved. That is why it is considered to be very important element of directing, and it is generally seen that most of the time, more than 90% of the time, the managers spent in you may say planning for effective ways through which the information can be shared. That means making their communication effective so that the work can be directed towards organizational goals effectively and efficiently. Now with this we will be talking about the importance or significance of communication. The first point says communication acts as a basis of coordination. Had there been no communication, it would have been difficult to coordinate amongst the various departments, amongst the various activities, amongst the various individuals who are working at different places, carrying out different nature of work in the organization. It is because of communication that we see that all the information that can be shared, the goals, what is the goal, how that goal is to be achieved. So if through communication it is possible to reach out to the employees of the organization, then only the employees, they are able to work properly and help in the achievement of organizational goals. So it helps in synchronizing the activities of the various departments and individuals in a proper way towards achievement of organizational goals. Second point, it helps in smooth working of the enterprise. How? Because it is because of communication that we see that interaction between superior and subordinate is possible. And if this interaction between superior and subordinate is possible, we see that communication helps to solve all types of problems, share you may say everything which is required for the successful achievement of the organizational goals, and also it helps in effective coordination. So communication, in a way, it acts as a lubricant for the smooth functioning of the organization. Third point, it acts as a basis of decision making. Managers, they have to take decisions at every stage, and because with the help of communication we see that the information is provided, it is for the managers to share the information with their subordinates in a proper manner, and that acts as a basis of decision making at every step in the organization, and that helps in the achievement of organizational goals. So acts as a basis of decision making. The key line is by providing relevant information to managers. So the managers have to decide, they are provided information, and that helps them to take decisions, and those decisions which they take, they are in a position to share with others also, with their subordinates also, and get the work done in a proper manner. Increases managerial efficiency, because it is with the help of communication that the managers, they are able to instruct, and the more clarity is there in their instruction, we see that the better is the work performance, and that proves managerial efficiency. Promotes cooperation and industrial peace. Because there is communication, two-way communication, superior and subordinates, between superior and subordinates, the superior is in a position to convey his ideas, suggestions, or orders, and the subordinates also, they can talk to their superiors and express their concern. We see that always the management and the workers, they are able to work in a cooperative manner, and that leads to industrial peace, that leads to smooth functioning of the work in the organization. 6th point, establish effective leadership. We have learned that the role of the leader is to influence the behavior of their followers, and in an organization the followers are the subordinates. So the leader is the manager. So manager has to work as a leader so that the manager can influence his subordinates and get the work done from them. So for that, manager has to be an effective communicator. If a manager is an effective communicator, he will be in a position to influence his subordinates, and that will always be good for the organization. So it helps in effective leadership. 7th point, it boosts morale and provides motivation. Now we see that because of effective communication, we see that the managers are in a position to understand the needs and expectations of the subordinates. And if the needs and expectations of the subordinates, the manager understands and satisfies them also, it is a motivator for the subordinates. And if the subordinates, they are motivated, that is going to boost the morale of the employees or the subordinates, and that will always help in the organizational efficiency. So what we see is that because communication helps to understand the needs and expectations of the subordinates and satisfy them, that is why in a way it provides motivation to the subordinates, and once the subordinates are motivated, their morale is high, and if their morale is high, they are going to contribute towards achievement of organizational goals to their utmost efficiency, and that will lead to always successful results. Thus, we see that communication is considered to be the essence of the organization. Sometimes this statement may be asked, communication is the essence of the organization. Comment. If this question is there, that means you have to explain about the importance of communication. Indirect questions in this way may be asked in the exam. Now we will also be learning about the types of communication. We have seen that communication may be oral, it may be written, and there are different types through which the communication can be done in the organization. Basically, there are two types of communication. One is formal and another is informal. When we say formal communication, that means communication always takes place through official channels. In case of informal communication, communication doesn't take place through official channels. That means official lines of authority that is not followed while communication is done in the organization. The lines of authority and responsibility, that means superior subordinate relationship, that is not maintained in communication, and that is what is called informal communication. There are two types of formal communication. One is vertical and another is horizontal. The other name of horizontal communication is lateral communication. Vertical, when we say vertical, that means there is always vertical line is like this. This is a vertical line and this is a horizontal line. So vertical can be both ways. There is two-way communication. From top to bottom means downward communication, and from bottom to top it will be upward communication. If it is downward communication, that means from superior to subordinates, and if it is upward, that means from subordinate to superior. So vertical communication, in case of formal, where the official lines of communication is followed in the organization, it is between superior and subordinates. When the superior communicates with the subordinates, that is what is downward communication. That means the information is passed from the superior to the subordinate. And when the subordinate tries to communicate with the superior, it is upward communication, because from lower to the upper side the communication flows. So it is both ways. It is two-way upward and downward communication. When we say upward communication, that means from subordinate to superior. Why do the subordinate? Sometimes the examples of upward communication is also asked. The subordinate will always communicate with the superior if the subordinate wants any kind of permission, wants to take leave, wants to submit any kind of report which is required, or wants to give feedback. So in this way we see that the information flows up. That means the arrow will be up from subordinate to superior. Also there is superior to subordinate communication, that is downward communication. This is upward, arrow up, upward, and downward means arrow down. Just keep this in mind. And downward is from superior to subordinate. And when will the superior communicate with the subordinate? When they have to give orders, when they have to pass on information, any message, any instructions, or any guidelines. Then there is communication by the superior to his subordinate. Also, the other type of formal communication is horizontal, this which is also called lateral. I told you this is also two-way communication, but this communication is between employees working at same level or authority. Employees who are working at same level. How can the employees work at same level? There can be a possibility if the employees, they are working in different departments. Sales manager and marketing manager. Although they may be working in different departments, but they are working at the same level. Finance manager. So manager. Divisional managers working in different divisions. So if the information is shared between different departments or between different divisions at the same level or authority, that is what is called the horizontal or lateral communication, because there also we see that through the official lines the information is passed. Now on the basis of which we can just highlight the main characteristics. We have already understood main characteristics of formal communication. Always we see that formal communication is the official communication. That means official lines of communication is followed, official information is only passed. That is why only official communication or information takes place in case of formal communication. It is two-way communication, which may be horizontal or vertical. We have already learned. Second point. Third point, it may be oral or written. Fourth point, there is record of communication maintained. In case of formal communication, whatever communication takes place, there is always because it is official, there is always record of that communication maintained by the organization. For example, manager presenting next year's sales plan. So that will be on record. Now we are moving on to informal communication. Informal communication is also called grapevine communication, because in this type of communication, when the official lines are not followed, we see that the information spreads in different direction, irrespective of the concern of superior subordinate relationship or the lines of authority. It just spreads like the branches of the grape, and that is why it is called grapevine communication, where there is no official lines which is followed in communication. So it is informal, and along with formal information, we see that informal communication is also required, and it is essential in the organization. So let us understand about the features of informal or grapevine communication. The first feature says it flows in all directions. So there is no regard to superior subordinate relationship or official lines which has to be maintained in the communication process. That is why it flows in all directions. Second point, it arises out of social needs of the employees. Out of formal communication, we see that the informal communication also arises, because within the organization there are personal and social interactions which happen amongst the employees who may be working at different places at different positions. But when there is informal organization, there is always a possibility of informal communication also to take place, and that is helpful. Arises out of social needs, and that fulfills the social needs of the employees when they are allowed to interact beyond their officially defined roles, and that fulfills the social needs. Generally, such type of information or communication is usually oral. Then no official record is maintained, because if it is oral, then official record is not possible to be maintained. And finally, fastest mode of transferring information is the informal communication. So sometimes the organization feels the need of this type of communication to have free flow communication and spread the information rapidly, and it is helpful in the organization. So with this, we have completed the introductory part of communication. After this, we will be learning about the communication networks which arises in both formal and informal communication in our next class. For today, we stop here. Thank you, all of you.